Most people think survival in war comes down to weapons, bravery or luck. But veterans and medics from World War II would tell you something very different. Long before a bullet ever found its mark, thirst, disease and contaminated water were already killing men by the thousands. In North Africa, the Pacific and Eastern Europe, soldiers weren't just fighting an enemy in uniform. They were fighting dysentery, typhoid and cholera. And in many cases, the difference between life and death came down to whether you knew how to make bad water drinkable. What you're about to learn isn't trivia. It's a field-tested method that kept entire units alive when supply lines failed, and modern purification simply didn't exist. Before we go any further, if you appreciate history that actually teaches you something useful, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who loves real history, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to The Hard Past. This channel is about more than stories. It's about hard lessons learned the difficult way. Now let's get into it. Why water became one of the deadliest enemies of the Second World War. By 1942, armies across the world faced the same brutal reality. Clean water could not be guaranteed. Water trucks were bombed, tablets melted or ran out, and wells were often poisoned or fouled by corpses and waste. Soldiers learned very quickly that dehydration could collapse a unit faster than enemy fire. Even worse, contaminated water spread disease silently. A man could still be walking one day and be incapacitated the next. Field manuals warned about it, but manuals didn't always come with supplies. That gap between doctrine and reality forced soldiers to improvise. How soldiers adapted, using nothing but the ground beneath their boots. One of the most reliable solutions came from combining old knowledge with battlefield necessity. Soldiers began using a method known informally as sand filtration, followed by boiling with charcoal. This wasn't high science. It was practical physics and observation. Troops noticed that water seeping through soil near rivers and lakes looked clearer and smelled less foul. They learned never to drink directly from surface water if they could help it. The first step was digging a shallow pit near a water source, not in it. As groundwater slowly seeped through layers of sand and soil, much of the debris, algae and organic matter was naturally filtered out. This didn't make the water safe yet, but it made it manageable. The clearer water collected in the pit was carefully scooped into mess tins or canteens, avoiding disturbing the sediment. Why charcoal became the secret weapon in field purification. Boiling alone kills pathogens, but soldiers learned it didn't solve everything. Bad tastes, foul odours and chemical contaminants often remained. That's where charcoal entered the process. Charcoal from campfires was crushed into gritty pieces and added directly to the water during boiling. Charcoal acts as a natural absorbent, binding toxins, organic compounds and some heavy metals to its porous surface. This wasn't guesswork. Soldiers noticed that water boiled with charcoal tasted cleaner and caused fewer stomach issues. Combined with sustained boiling, this method neutralized bacteria and parasites while improving the water's overall quality. What they didn't know at the time was that they were essentially creating a crude version of activated carbon filtration, the same principle used in modern water filters today. Compared to chemical tablets, charcoal boiling didn't leave a harsh taste or depend on fragile supplies. Compared to solar stills, it produced usable water quickly, and, unlike mechanical filters, it couldn't clog or break. It relied on materials found almost anywhere humans make fire and live near water. Soil filtered the large contaminants, charcoal absorbed the chemical ones, and heat destroyed biological threats. Filter first, absorb second, sterilize last. That sequence remains sound even by modern standards. The process remains nearly identical. Find a riverbank or lakeshore and dig a hole 1 to 2 feet deep a short distance from the water. Allow groundwater to seep in naturally. Once it clears, collect it gently. Crush clean charcoal from a fire into small gritty pieces and add it to a metal pot with the water. Bring it to a rolling boil for at least 10 minutes. Let it cool, then strain it through cloth if available. The result is clear, safer water suitable for survival situations. Modern tests by bushcrafters and survival instructors show that this method dramatically reduces microbial contamination. While it won't remove every heavy metal, it performs remarkably well for emergency use. In real-world survival, perfection matters less than reliability, and this method has proven both. This technique didn't begin in World War II. It traces back to explorers, pioneers, and even ancient civilizations using charcoal and sand in clay vessels. The war simply forced its widespread use under pressure. Soldiers didn't romanticize it. They depended on it. Every successful sip meant one more day alive. In a world dependent on convenience, skills like this quietly fade. But disasters, power failures, and remote travel haven't disappeared. Knowing how to produce drinkable water without technology isn't nostalgia. It's preparedness. If you found this lesson valuable, make sure you're subscribed to The Hard Past. Share this with someone who respects real history, and leave a comment below. The past doesn't just tell stories. It teaches survival. And some lessons are too important to forget.